Hello and welcome to another episode of Meller Notes podcast. I'm William Meller and I'm here to reflect with you to find our best version every single day. We are here because together we want to think, we want to reflect, we want to understand what's going on and how we can be a little bit better. Just 1%, maybe 0.5% better than the version that we had yesterday. And that's how we improve. That's how we make better, how we are going to move ourselves to the right direction. And that's why we are here. Today, we're going to destroy some dangerous corporate illusions a little bit, as we've been discussing a lot about this, a little bit more about AI. Because I have a question that is moving things, and the question is in the air right now. Are the companies really firing people because AI is helping them to improve their productivity? Or is there something else? We also want to evaluate why Wall Street is clapping those kind of movements and what we can learn from that. Because our focus here, it's find the best version of yourself, of myself. So together we want to understand how we can work in our personal and professional development. And there is something more that is happening around the world that is around the battle for the best AI, the AI that is going to serve people, companies, and the government. And what is actually happening in the US right now with the government putting pressure on the contract with Anthropic and actually replacing them by a new solution. All of this we want to discuss today, but as we did in the last episode, and as you liked, because I got very good feedbacks about this kind of way of doing it, we are going to start with a story. I want to bring you back to Japan in the 70s and a connection from Japan with United States in the same moment. In one side of the continent, we have US with General Motors. General Motors were like an empire at the time. They were the ones really controlling the market and how things were going to move in the car making world. And the other side, we had Toyota. And Toyota has a big challenge. We talk about that actually in this in my channel, my YouTube channel, when we discussed about Lean and how Toyota made a huge improvement in their way of working. And that's exactly what Toyota was focusing on, putting technology improvements, everything they could, and their energy to get things better, better in the process, better in the way they were managing the process, better within the teams, find best way or the best way to deliver value to their customers. And Toyota was really putting their energy on that because the concept of lean or the Toyota production system was basically to provide more value to the customer so the customer can feel that in the moment they give their money to the company, they feel that they are getting something really good back. So increase the value was one of the main focus from Toyota. But there's something else is about reducing the cost or the waste in this case of Lean, reducing anything that they were doing that is not adding value and maybe becoming a waste in the process. It could be a waiting time, it could be a waiting moment for the product in the line, anything that was actually adding some waste, Toyota was trying to remove. So that was the focus of this Japanese company. But General Motors, for the other side, they were the empire. They were the ones really shining the gold because things were moving so well for them, and they were having their status, let's call like this, everything around volume. They were producing more cars and expanding the company and having more and more people. You know, Toyota used technology to improve the way they were doing and generating value, while GM, General Motors, was actually using technology and spending billions of dollars just to keep their volume up. But there's a problem. If you produce a lot of cars and you don't sell those cars, you are just increasing your cost. So, all the golden empire of volume and growing without a real result, showing that you can actually grow like that, it's a big risk for any kind of business. And the history was going to show what is actually the result of that. Toyota became the biggest car manufacturer in the world, and General Motors actually went bankruptcy and had to get some, reinvestment and at several different points just to postpone the bankruptcy moment. So the historical lesson is very clear that in the business world, volume doesn't mean anything if you're not actually growing or moving somewhere else with your business, because you don't want to only grow, you don't want to only expand your business. You want to make sure that your productivity and your deliverables are actually connected with your growth. And that was the problem here. Because as we know now, and maybe now it's a little bit obvious, growing can mean many different things. Social media companies, they had their growth to so many different countries without opening offices actually in those countries, because they had a different kind of business that help them to grow and to grow in result in this case without expanding in volume. Of course, many of those companies now are big. They are one of those big ones in the world. But the point here is about how they were growing, because you can also grow from a startup perspective and improve and expand yourself to many different countries without opening those offices, because now technology and the knowledge work, it allows you to think like that. And the lessons from Toyota and the lessons from GM in this case, it's pretty much showing us that we have a lot to learn still in 2026 about growth. And why I'm saying this, why I want to connect this story with something that happened. Well, basically, there is something actually happening in the world right now after the pandemic years. And, pandemic was a few years ago, right? But we are still seeing many things come from what happened during this period. And one thing that happened this week, say this guy, Jack Dorsey. Do you know Jack Dorsey? He is the founder of Twitter, and he also have some very different business, and he is a serial entrepreneur. But one of those companies that he is now focusing his energy is called Block. And Block just announced a reduction or a layoff of 4,000 employees. 4,000 positions were laid off at Block. It's a huge number, right? Actually, this number represents around 40% of their total global workforce. So it's huge, it's massive. It's almost half of the company that they are cutting. But of course, if you just look to this information without any context, it could be very easy to conclude or to understand that maybe the company is not going that well and they need to cut, right? Well, actually, that is not the point. Block is actually growing. They had look at this number. They had a gross revenue of 2.8 billion dollars, billion with the B, in Q4 2025. So it's like 20 around 25% year over year. So it's a huge growth for a company like that. So they are growing. Results are good. Why they're cutting? Well, Jack Dorsey is putting away like this, that artificial intelligence tools change what it means to build a company for him. So now they are using AI as the reason on why they are cutting or laying off all those positions in the company. But let's think a little bit here, okay? Because the market, of course, love it. Wall Street is happy. The stocks of the company went quite high, and then the understanding we can have here is pretty much that this kind of thing, this kind of action, is actually something good for their business, right? Because the market is reacting well, the company is growing, so let's cut some people because AI can solve it. Well, Let's look to the pandemic years. That's actually happened in many companies. That is actually what we are seeing. What happened to Block is actually happening to many of those companies that grew during pandemic years. And Block was one of those. Block hired way too many people during the pandemic years, more than results. Remember Toyota case? Remember what it's discussed about General Motors? They had this growth based on what was happening during pandemic, but not taking in account the continuation of this growth to be the same over the years, which is of course not realistic. Let's take one another example so you can understand completely what I'm trying to say. Imagine a company that is providing cloud services. During pandemic, companies start to move away from a local server, and they were moving to cloud computing, and they are using different services. So you had a pike during the pandemic years for those kind of business where they were selling much more cloud solutions. So imagine that the curve, instead of going steady, a growth, but steady and in a normal pace, they had this biggest jump because of pandemic years. So you can, of course, think that you need to hire and expand a lot your business and have more volume so you can keep your growth that way. But after some time, the curve starts to come back again to the steady way or more stabilized levels. And now you have this huge company, this huge cost in terms of how you grew over this time that is not competing or being aligned to the demand that you have right now. So, of course, many companies did the same mistake. But now, 2025, 2026 is so easy to, instead of saying that you didn't had a good planning when you grew that much and that you had so many people being hired, because now you have AI, right? You can just say that you are growing your company because AI is helping you. That's so easy, instead of just saying that you didn't had a good management of or planning in your business. But the point I want to reflect, as always, this is the focus of this podcast, is it's how this can bring a message to our career as well. Because the question I have in my head is, if half of the company I work with it's going away, if they are laying off 40% of the company, 40 or half of the company around us, what is going to happen to my position? It's what I'm doing, something that, for real or not, it's totally going with the narrative that we can, go away with that position, or am I protected somehow? The reason on reflecting on this is, of course, because we want to have a career that we can feel that is stabilized at some point, even with AI attacking all different kind of positions in the industry, and that's okay. But I'm always reflecting how I can adapt myself to technology and keep myself relevant to the business I'm working with, because there was a moment in life that many different kinds of technology put some pressure or replace people and different kinds of workers over time. Not only AI, all kind of technologies. I mean, since industrial revolution, this is happening. So we need to always be reflecting. Is there something I should be doing right now that would protect my position or the kind of work that I'm doing? Maybe I should do some reskilling, because uh, if your company announce something like that, you should be prepared, right? Prepared with your knowledge, but also prepared to understand if what you're doing right now is just replaceable, or if you are generating the right value in the right place in your company that can make you something that cannot just go away in a layoff like this. So I'm reflecting a lot about this because, as I said, technology is here to help us somehow and sometimes put some pressure in our position. But I want to look always with the positive mindset that if I adapt the way what I'm doing, maybe even using AI to stop doing some of the things that I'm doing right now, or make it faster so I can have more time to reflect more strategically how my position is going to contribute to the business. This is the reflection I want you to also bring a little bit to your next walk, or the next time you are just thinking a little bit out of your mind on all those things that are actually threatening you. Because if AI is here to threat your position, how you can actually be ally with artificial intelligence or any kind of technology to protect the kind of professional that you are right now. But now I want to continue the reflection on this topic because the next one here is actually super connected, or at least connected in a way that is surprisingly um, perfect momentum, where we have more research answer the question that I asked you in the beginning. Is AI really the reason why companies are laying off people, or is there something else? Because we had a good example with the pandemic, right? Companies that grew over time, they didn't plan that well what they should be doing with those people, and now what they have in front of them is more people than actually need. So they are preparing all those layoffs. And this is exactly what we are going to discover now. Check this one, okay? Tech companies adopt a new narrative to tell you that they are firing people because AI tools or AI technology at some part of the business is making them be more productive, and therefore they can replace people or have less people in their employee from an employee perspective in the company, because now AI will help or will solve all those problems. But I want to expose a little bit that maybe the narrative, the story, is not connecting with the real data. Let's try to understand that, okay? Oxford Economics, one of the most respected consulting firms in the world, just published a new report that is actually it's putting some very nice spicy on the discussion around AI productivity and layoffs. Because check those numbers. In the first 11 months of 2025, companies officially blamed AI for around 50, between 50 to 60,000 layoffs. That was only 4.5% of the total layoffs, of course, but it's still something that should call our attention, okay? Because all those companies, they are blaming AI, or they are using AI as the excuse because now they can be more productive. So what you can expect is that after some time, if you are replacing people saying that AI is helping you to increase your productivity and you're reducing your costs, the math here is quite simple. After some time, you should have in your results the productivity increasing with the relation of the cost that you cut in the company, right? But this is not happening. Companies are just practicing what this report is calling AI washing, or what it means. They are using innovation to call that productivity is increasing while they're actually solving another management or planning problem in their companies. Maybe they were growing too much over a period of time, and now they need to, fix that growth, because the growth line is not always steady, going up as you expect in your business to be. The reality is much different. You grow a lot over a period of time. Tech companies, they grew a lot during pandemic, for example, because people were moving home. They had to have more technology available to make the economy working across the road. So tech companies, they hired a lot of people during pandemic, actually. But over the time, of course, the need for those people was not the same, because the demand from the market was not the same as well. So that was actually a kind of logical flaw. You had all those people being hired because you expected the business to attend to support this kind of demand, but then now you don't need them anymore. And instead of just moving ahead and saying that you did had a good planning and now you need to fix it, you have the perfect excuse, right? You have AI right now that you can say that is improving your productivity in a way that you can just cut part of your employees' number. The thing here, as always, and that is the reason why I want to always reflect a little bit on this podcast, there is always a question in the air, because there is no question that AI is helping companies, business professionals to be more productive. But what it actually means, productivity in this case. because doing faster the wrong thing is not being productive. It's just being faster in the wrong thing. There is no question that if you don't understand if you are working on the right thing to increase the value that your company work and therefore the productivity, which is the ratio between the hours and the effort that you put on building something that will deliver value to your customer and they are going to pay you for that. If you don't understand the relation here, anything that you work faster to move ahead with a solution that is maybe the wrong one is not going to change anything in the value generation you have. I totally understand. You should understand that as well. That once you deliver faster, you validate things or you test things also faster, and the feedback will come back to your business in a way that you're going to discover what you should be working next. So the feedback relation here for sure is improving a lot once you start delivering things faster. But just doing more and faster doesn't mean anything. And this report from Oxford, I think, will at least start a very good discussion because without conclusions, without saying that companies are doing it, all those companies are doing this for the wrong reason, or confirm that they are doing this just for the narrative, just to uh, create a good story for a bad management, and then organize all those results again for the company and make Wall Street happy. Well, the point is it's too early to conclude because AI is just now starting to show some very good and very interesting cases where productivity and results in some business start to grow because of AI application inside the business. So we have very good use cases and reality, which is tangible, that we can see that this is happening, okay? But it's not happening the same speed of growth from a productivity perspective that will justify all those layoffs. And this is the moment for the reflection. So without concluding anything now, I want to come back to the perspective of your career here, because we need to be careful with narratives or how a story is being presented to you, not only from a company, but from any kind of perspective. Politics, for example, they are very good on that. Just the tone in their voice can make you have a specific conclusion that they want you to have, because this is the storytelling that they are building to put something in your mind. And if you're not careful, if you're not understanding the human relationship behind all those provocations or stories or everything that is coming to your mind, there's a strong and bad chance in this case is that will make you take the wrong conclusions. All those companies, they are blaming AI for their layoffs. Maybe they have something else. And if you don't stop for a while and look to real results, what is going on, you're probably going to believe in that. But then you need to get all the data to understand what exactly is going on. And in the case of back to the career question, what is the story that I am also telling people that maybe is just a narrative? Because I know that many people leave a company just saying that they are moving to a new challenge, they need to feel the growth, but in the reality, they just want to change their boss. Or you accept a new challenge inside the same company and you create this narrative that you want to learn something new, but you just actually want to move away from a colleague that you have. This is common. This is how things work. This is how the game is played. You build narratives, you build stories that will create a better perspective on something that you are doing. And the companies, they can do the same. But we need to be smarter and always read the things on the right way. So the reflection or the final reflection on this topic would be how you are looking to those different kind of stories and having your conclusions. Not the conclusion they want you to have, but the conclusion that made you make you learn something from the different kind of lessons around you. Okay? So, the topic number three that I want to discuss with you is actually also connected to AI. Yeah, I know it's being a trending topic on this podcast because it's also being a trend everywhere we look and try to bring some good content for you around career and personal, professional development because this is right now everywhere. And we need to be prepared, learning, understanding what's going on, also on AI, also on new technologies to understand how we should react. Because if the main thing going on right now in terms of career was something else, I would be telling you, I would be preparing you to reflect on that together with me. Because this is basically what I do every single day. I take a lot of the content that I consume, I organize them, I try to have the right readings. And doing my content curation, I prepare just the best that we should discuss and reflect together today. Okay? But let's talk a little bit more about something else related to AI battles, governments, and yeah, positions of some companies that are quite interesting to reflect. Okay? The internet is full of companies who are so proud to show that they have impressive values, business ethics, and they are standing over the shoulders of so respectful ways of working. Their business is so great, has so many strong values, but in reality, we always know that the main purpose of a business is to deliver results. Hopefully, those results are going to be aligned with values and principles who are going to stay, connected to ethics standards. So this is the basis that we expect from any kind of business, right? But in the top level, in the world of billions of dollars, the pressure is so high that it's easy for some of those companies just forgive a little bit, or some of the lines around around their principles, and actually react more to the money instead of the principles they align and they say they are doing. But this is not what Anthropic, at least, is doing right now in the United States. They got a very strong pressure from the US government to help United States with military use of its AI without any safety limits. That was the point of everything we've been reading about Anthropic and the government of US. And exactly the same time that Anthropic refused, Donald Trump and the US government cut put a end line in all their relationship with Anthropic products. So they order, look at this, they order all the federal agencies around around the country and everyone using Anthropic services like cloud, that they should stop using it right away. And at the same time, they closed a very good deal with OpenAI, which they accepted the everything that the US was proposing. They accepted, and now they are the new solution for the US Department of Defense networks. So let's look a little bit here without the noisy of all the news around you, without the perspective of your opinion on Donald Trump, because this is not relevant to think clearly on things here. Not just because Anthropic refused. It doesn't mean anything related to the company being good or bad, or OpenAI being, from evil because they are accepted. It's not about that. It's not about, it is always about business position and the result you expect from your business. Anthropic, they have very important contracts with hospitals, with big banks and big companies, because their main purpose, or the way they organize their business, is on focusing on security, and their business model, or the competitive advantage compared to OpenAI, to Google, and to some other big players in the market. It is around it is about safety and trust around the way AI is being used. Anthropic has this as I said, as in the competitive advantage. This is what they do different. So they didn't refuse just for moral purities. It is not about that. It's it's just because it would be a commercial suicide for their business. Making more money right now with the US government would maybe kill the opportunity for the business to keep making money with those big companies around the world, and perhaps even to continue having this competitive advantage. The way they the way they sell their product, it's always based on safety. This is what it's making Anthropic so different in the market from different products. It's not about being good or with the decision or more ethical. It's just on how they are positioned. Actually, it's always about opportunities, right? OpenAI is not from evil just because they accept it, but their business is positioned in a way that this contract is actually very good for them. So they position and they got the contract. Everything looks good. I have a personal opinion which I feel comfortable sharing with you that this deal right now with US going with OpenAI and Anthropic focusing on safety, with which is their main thing on their business for the solution they offer, it could be an interesting opportunity for Europe here because we have China, we have US, they are fighting battles that are interesting on the AI solutions, and Europe is a little bit behind on a specific solution from Europe. And Anthropic, I know, is not from Europe, but maybe it's an opportunity for Europe to knock on the door and say, hey, look, maybe we can have some partnership here. US took away your services, you have a way of working that is more based on safety and reliable ways. Well, it could be something here for Europe, but I will stop the opinion part here and come back to the facts, okay? Because the main lesson here that I think we can learn is also on all kind of positions. Because over the course of your career, you're going to face some offers to you that can mean a lot of money, but maybe be disaligned to the kind of professional you are. And I'm not talking only about ethics or your values. I'm talking also on what you believe is right or not, on the things you work. Maybe we spend the last 10 years going against a kind of framework or a way of working, and just because you get a lot of money to say good things about it, are you going to say good things about it? I don't know. Maybe your position say that you can change your opinion. Is everything is good? By the way, change opinions is fantastic, but there is always something in your position that will stay with you over the course of your career, right? Who you are, your identity, the way you work. If it's easy to buy that and make you act differently, maybe your biggest competitive advantage is going away just because of money. So it's always good to reflect on what is my brand? What is my personal and professional brand that is before, is on the basis, is on the pillars of what I do and what I not, or I do not accept to do at least. Because Anthropic made it very clear, and Anthropic had a very strong position with what they believe is right for their business and the way their business is positioned. And now we can see that for our careers is not that different. If we have a moment where we see something being disconnected to what is right or connected to our brand, we should also have the same strong position, even in a conversation with our managers or boss or companies or in a very big opportunity that is in front of us. Okay, so I want to continue here a little bit on the reflection around position, because I've been talking a lot about personal branding. I've been writing a lot about that for the past 15 years or so, and something I'm saying a lot always is about how you what you do, if it is being connected or not to what you are saying that you do. So it's pretty much the alignment between the story that you're telling and the thing that you are actually doing on a daily basis. Many people saying that they are positioning themselves as a very strong, I don't know, project manager who always listen to their teams, and they position themselves as someone like that. But in reality, in a daily basis, they don't hear any different opinions. They don't take in consideration what people are saying. So maybe their branding, their position is not aligned to actually what they do. And as you know, this podcast is very proud of always bring some reading, some book for a discussion. And today we have Nassim Nicholas Taleb. I know quite polemic for some people because many understand that he writes in a way that is just trying to prove over intelligence sometimes, and he overused that over his books. But I like that, to be honest. I like his style. He's very smart. He looked through the things in the world with a different perspective, and I think it helps a lot to also be a little bit more critical to what we are reading. Because normally Taleb's books are not kind of book that you can read with someone talking close to you. You need to pay a lot of attention, you need to concentrate. It's a hard reading somehow. And I think I can have my opinion about Taleb because I read all the books and many different kinds of works from him. So I think I can say what is good and what is not good after reading it all. I I I, I can position myself on that if you understand what I mean. But what I want to bring here for our perspective, it's a quote from one of his books called Skin in the Game. And this quote is so well connected to what we are talking today. I will read it first, okay? Do not tell me what you think. Show me what you do. Or in other words, I don't want to know what you think or what you say you do. I want to see how you are positioned. In this case, in the moment he's expressed this quote, he's literally meaning something around portfolio of investment. So imagine someone that is positioned so strong in a group of people that people should invest in Bitcoin. And then you ask the people, okay, can I see your portfolio? And they show that, and you see that their investment in Bitcoin is like less than 1% of their portfolio of investment. So the connection between what they are saying and what they are actually doing, it doesn't make any sense. They do not have what Taleb calls skin in the game. If I tell you that you should, I don't know, use AI every day in your work and I don't use it, I'm not having skin in the game. If I'm telling you that you should do anything around, writing is a great example. I'm telling a lot of people that they should write more because writing is great. I love writing. It's a way to think better. But if I just tell people to write more and I'm not writing every single day, I'm not having skin in the game in my advice. To understand what I mean? Jack Dorsey put his reputation and his business around growing, and now he's using AI as a narrative for cutting half of the company. Antrop, in the other way, they are keeping what they are saying. They are keeping their principles to say no to a business, even though it's a big business opportunity. OpenAI is saying yes because it's aligned to what they are saying. All those cases that we explore today are very aligned on having skin in the game because it's very it's terrible, it's catastrophic when you see people that are saying that you should do something or should not do something and they are not even aligned with themselves. They don't know what they are talking about because they do not have skin in the game. So I want to end this episode with the question to you. Do your professional decisions, the way you decide things on a daily basis, is that aligned to the kind of people that you are outside of work? Is your professional and your personal versions aligned, or you have different principles? How much of skin in the game are you showing on what you say that people should be doing and what you do on a daily basis? My name is William Meller. That was another episode of Meller Notes podcast. If you have any feedback, if there's something you want to see more here, something you want to see less, please tell me in the comments. I would be super glad to hear your opinions. I read everyone very carefully because I respect people who are giving their time to reflect with me and learn together with me. This is a moment of reflection out loud. Maybe opinions can change. Maybe something the way we are thinking can change. But if that change is always for a good reason, and if we reflect deeply, if you bring theory, if you understand what's going on, if you calm down and really understand what's going on behind the noisy, behind the hype, There is always something that will make us be better every single day. 1% better today than we are yesterday. That was Meller Notes. Thank you very much. Bye.